Okay, reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta. Yeah, the computer is a little down for me. So it kind of distorted. So I hope it's okay. Um, Let me put on my hearing aids also. Uh, Book 2, Chapter 1, Text 115. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let me see if I can lift the computer up a little bit. Okay, that may be better. Vikrośantaṁ kvacid bhūmau, skhalantaṁ kvāpi matta-vat, luṭhantaṁ bhuvi, kutrāpi, rudantaṁ kvacid uccakaiḥ. Sometimes he shouted or loudly sobbed or stumbled and fell to the ground or rolled about the ground like a madman. Om timarandasya gananchana shalakaya taksur unmulatam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha Sri Chaitanya manobishtam stapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati swapadantikam panchakalpa turubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I have to get some tea. I've been teaching the whole Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta again to a Russian audience of these leaders of this Bhagavad Gita University. I think relatively cultured and simple people. And I'm trying to teach them the story. So I think also those of you that are following have a good idea of this story. And when I look at the list of people who are attending, sometimes before I give class and then after I give class, this is a faithful, and I think this is invaluable. I didn't have this when I was younger in Krishna consciousness, this kind of training, and to learn this story, because even one day you may repeat it. Somebody in the first class said, even when they go to bed, the person is translating, Yogamaya actually, she said she just never heard the story like this. She's read it before and it's going, so we know this whole story now. And we know that it's now Maharaj Prickett telling his story to his mother. He feels a story is the best form to communicate. The second point of the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta that Marge Prickett wanted to communicate. The first was the topmost recipient of Krishna's mercy. The second is the place where this mercy is embodied. And that's Vrindavan. Vayuna drishtam, even the wind is serving. The flowers are not blooming, they're loving. So to understand this place is to understand love of Krishna. Because the place moves to love Krishna with intention, to facilitate the loving exchanges. So we're seeing externals, we're seeing people, but we're seeing their mind. We're seeing the place, but we're seeing the consciousness of the place. So he begins to tell the story of this Mathura Brahmin who lives in another place, who gets this mantra. It's so nice with this group because this group is just, I don't have to repeat so much. They know the story. And that Mathura Brahmin gets the mantra, which the object has tremendous influence, but without the proper knowledge, he can't fully fructify the results of the mantra. Although, because he seems to be very pious, very special, open-hearted, we also had this concept that somehow God is moving towards us in various ways. And with this Brahmin, it's the spiritual world, which is trying to bring him back. Somehow he may have this samskara, these impressions. And you can't tell where, it's really hard to tell where a person's at. You can't understand in the Bhishma Dev story, you can't understand the inconceivable will of the Lord. But somehow or other, he's moving towards each of us. He's moving to us, for us, in different ways, in happiness and distress, in slander and praise, in sickness and health, in close association with devotees, in separation from devotees. Everything is moving to bring us closer, and this Brahmin has some special mercy. So somehow or other, Lord Shiva, Devi, Vedant Gopal, the mantra itself, the personification of the mantra itself, are all appearing to him and telling him, this is not where you belong, this is not where you belong, this is not, go to Vrindavan. And then he goes to Vrindavan and he meets this cowherd boy. He just hears this ecstatic chanting in this, near Keshigat, must be a forest by then. And it's not an ordinary cowherd boy, because he could recount this Brahmin's who got this mantra, his whole journey. So the Brahmin understands that this is not just a cowherd boy, even though I'm a Brahmin, this is not just a cowherd boy. And he listens to him. And the Gop Kumar expresses his concern that you're doing japa, but you need to do nam kirtan. You're almost there. Maybe that's for us too. We're almost there. Brahmanda Brahmate, Konya Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Pasadi Pai Bhakti. We're almost there. We're almost there. But nam kirtan. Kalo Dershe Nidhe Rajan Eko Asti Mahagunan Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangam Kirtana Eva Krishnasya Mukta. That gives the liberation. So he meets this Gopakumar, who also thinks, how can I bring him to this understanding, which means how to bring us to this understanding, which means how to bring Mother Uttara to this understanding. And he says, it's not proper for one to tell a story about himself and put himself in the center, but this is the only way I think I can help you, and I will do it as a service to my spiritual master. And then he begins to tell the story, and he's telling the story because his story parallels that person's story. His story parallels the Brahmin's story. Very, very directly parallels that story. Because he also got, it's going to see, he also gets a mantra. It doesn't lead him because he doesn't have the proper knowledge. So he tells his story. And he's a cowherd boy with his friends, and they're going to all the forests of Vrindavan, and they're enjoying. And there's one, let's see who it is, a first-class Brahmin. He appeared, he was almost like a god, this Brahmin. I mean, he's so beautiful. He was renounced, and his body appeared like that of a god. He was wandering from place to place, and he was always chanting the glories of Krishna. Sometimes he sang, sometimes he danced, sometimes absorbed meditation. He chanted the mantra to himself, and sometimes he gave himself to laughter. And he was in ecstasy. These are all sattvika bhavs. He stumbled, he fell, he rolled around the ground like a madman shouting. Yeah, I was making this point probably the last class. Oh, actually, I'm giving many classes, actually. On Tuesday, I give one on CC. It's great. Practically every day I have a class, and this is the way I study. Wow. So, yeah, I describe him because I'm doing the 19th chapter of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it says, look, he's talking like a madman. He's insane. This is not easy to understand, Lord Chaitanya. He's scraping his face against the wall, his nose, his mouth, his eyes, his forehead. It's bleeding. He's making strange sounds. So it's so easy to understand because it's not dictated thoughtfully what he's doing. But generally in the material world, when it's not dictated thoughtfully, you're a madman. Imagine if we just followed our heart as the absolute guide and reality. Can you imagine what we'd be like if we just followed our heart? And to the extent that we do, how sad. I'm talking for myself. But on the spiritual platform, the heart is bhava. The heart is pure. So if you act just from the heart, it's love. And it's the most intense love. Because it's Krishna's energy of love, which practically cannot be contained in the material body. How do you handle such powerful emotions? Even in this life, we all, even I'm a jnani from my past life, I've also had experiences where emotions bring you to tears, where practically you can collapse on the floor. But this is from the pure heart. Visham gyan patinam kvāpi shleshma la lashu dharaya pankayantam gavan vartma rajamsi matta-vat kutrāpi. Sometimes he fell unconscious and lay still like a corpse, the flood of his mucus, saliva, and tears turning the dust on the cow path into mud. We did this last time. This was the verse that I think maybe Jai Sirati said, I don't know about this one. Could I handle this? Do I want this? Tense chanting. He'd feel so much joy. He would lose outward consciousness. Sometimes he would collapse. appear to have died. This intent. Why not? If this is God's love and you're tuned into this love and it's intense emotion, what should it do to the body? What should it do to the body? Kotu kena vayambala yamomum vikshitum sada satu gopa kumaram no labha namati bhaktita. Out of curiosity, we cowherd boys would often come look at him. But when he saw us in front of him, he would bow down to us in that direction. They had no respect for him, it mentioned purport. He had respect to them. This is a spiritual consciousness. Premanjana charita bhakti velotanenas santasadaiva hitayeshu veloki. You're seeing through love, just like people see through hate. One time, I can say this, I had this one assistant, and he was as loyal as anyone I've ever seen. He was ready to die for me. You remember him, Franklin. He used to be in Shelter or 108. So he had a lot of anger. And he belonged to a gang in New York, which I later found out. I still can't correspond how he belonged to that gang. But he belonged to a gang. So I took him to and Gitanagari. I got kicked out of India once. I forgot in the 80s, and it was amazing. I did a Kartik Vrata, only ate rice and dal for 1 month. No spices, nothing else. And once a day. And I was going, Gitanagari, there was no place when Satsarup Maharaj Bhakta Tirtha Swami, there was no place like Vrindavan outside of Vrindavan than Gitanagari. You couldn't even get a cell phone reception. So, forget about internet or anything like that. So, I was staying in Satsarup's cabin, chanting 64 rounds. This is one of the highlights of my devotional career. Because I got kicked out of India. I got a quit India notice. Somehow I got back in quickly, but I got a quit India notice. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? I've been like 20 years Kartik in Vrindavan. So I thought, Gitanagari. Of course, Gitanagari. So I did this, and every morning they'd have Damodar Astakam, and every evening, and the temple was packed. This place was hopping, and every day I would go on Prikram at 2:00 to one of the places. I go to their Govardhan Hill. I go to what I thought was Barsana, and then Bhakta Tirtha Swami joined me, and we were having such a great time. So I had Govardhan Puja there. I remember Seva Priya made these mint chocolate rocks. We made a big hell in the Satsaru's cabin, and everybody was there because people were actually coming from different places to Gitanagari at that time for our programs. It was great. So everybody's paying obeisances. Everybody's going around the hill, and I was saying, anybody goes around the hill, all your desires will be fulfilled. And people were, and my disciples at that time, and maybe if someone here remembers it, and they were paying obeisances around the hill. And then the last one was Franklin, and he paid his obeisance around the hill. And he turned to me, said, Maharaj, because I said, all your desires were fulfilled. He said, it doesn't work. I say, why? He said, everyone is still here. So you could see from his heart how he's so sweet, so nice, and so intellectual, so smart, but he had that kind of anger. The last time I spoke to him, he was doing well, quite responsible person, working in the world sincerely. We loved Franklin, if you remember him. But he had that kind of feeling. So our feelings can affect our consciousness. So even though the cowherd boys were disrespectful, his love was becoming a lens where you'd see everyone serving Krishna, maybe except him. Tranadapi, Sanichena, Tororapi, Sahishnena, Amanina, Madanena, Kirtan. Chanting humbler than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree. So I'm seeing everyone, the tree, the grass, everyone has bhakti. Gadam ashlishyati premna sarvangeshu sachumbanam parityaktum ta shaknoti madrashan priya bandhuvat. He would heartily embrace us and affectionately cover us with kisses as if we were his best friends. He was unable to give up our company. Prem, purport. Immersed in Krishna Prem, this Brahmin was attracted to these village boys because they resembled young Krishna and his cowherd friends. Priya Bandhu has several meanings: best friend, close friend, most dear devotee of the Lord. And the Supreme Lord is who's dear to his devotees. So Priya, they're very dear because there's Krishna Prem. And they were cowherd boys. Maya go rasadanadi sevyashao prasadita ekada jamuna tire prapya lingya jagadamam. He was pleased with my services, like giving gifts of milk products. One day, meeting me on the shore of the Jamuna, he embraced me and spoke in this way. Purport: Gop Kumar gave his new friend presents of milk, yogurt, and other milk products, and would also carry his water pot and follow him around. This kind of voluntary service pleased the great soul. He became disposed to give his boy his mercy. This is bhakti. Bhakti is based on the fact that we are persons. And persons reciprocate in love. Otherwise, you're impersonal. So that's the secret of bhakti. You express love, and you express love. This is a simple point. By manifesting that love for the pleasure of a person in terms of its beauty, its taste, its fragrance, its touch, its sound. So the love is carried through objects of senses. And it touched the heart. It touched the heart. Yeah, I even described when my older brother last year, basically he gave me a donation of $2,500 that he didn't have to give. It came from something from my mother, and he gave it to me. So I felt it. I don't know if you could say I smelled the money or I tasted the money, but certainly I felt it. And I can see I have an inclination, therefore, to do something for my brother. It's just the way human interaction works. Love makes the world go round. Vatsa tvam sakala bhishta siddhim ichasi chet imam prasadam jagadishasya snatva kesham grihanimat. My dear child, if you want to fulfill all your desires, please bathe at Keshigat and then accept from me this mercy of the Lord of the universe. So, affection from a teacher comes in terms of his teachings, his instructions. And he said, Tvam sakala abhishta siddham. If you want to get the perfection, sakala, of all your desires, please bathe in Keshigat and then accept from me this mercy of the Lord of the universe. So let's see what that mercy is. So purify yourself, come to me, and I have a gift. Normally we consider the mercy of the Supreme Lord something intangible, but the saintly Brahmin called it this mercy as if it was a tangible object in front of him. He told Gopakumar, just take it from me, as if literally placing it in his hands. Evam mitam bhavan mantram snatayo padideshame puno kamo napekshopi sadayalu shiromani. Thus, after I bathed, he imparted to me the same mantra you are chanting. Although he was fully satisfied in himself and indifferent to material things, he was the crest jewel of all compassionate souls. He imparted, so the same Gopal mantra, and that's why he's telling his life story. It's just like maybe sometimes you need a woman to preach to a woman because she has a similar, in certain circumstances, she has a similar experience, and if she tells her life as a woman in Krishna consciousness, and it may have some, or even a straight edge to a straight edge, hardcore to a hardcore, different things, to some extent. So I had the same mantra. That's why I'm telling you to. And although he was fully satisfied in himself and indifferent to material things, he was the crest jewel of all compassionate souls. Jiva doi Krishna-nam sarva dharma sar. Jiva doi Krishna-nam sarva dharma sar. Jiva doi, the compassion. Doya means compassion. Kripa means mercy. Mercy may be directed in a way. Doya has more the sense of the compassion. It's more broad. So he had no desires personally, so he wasn't acting for himself. It's just his compassion was there. What is that? What is that verse? One second. Vairagya yug bhakti risam prayatnai apayam mamanabipsam andam kripam buddhiya paraduka duki. It's about Sanatana Goswami. Kripam bhudiya. He's an ocean of mercy. He has no suffering. He only suffers for others. So this is being described here. Since Gop Kumar and his student have been initiated into the same mantra, their relationship could become very friendly. When Gop Kumar got his mantra, he should not have thought that this was his guru's way of reciprocating the gifts of buttermilk and yogurt. Okay, so he's saying he was fully satisfied. He wasn't giving it to him because he was serving him in that way and reciprocating, but it opened his heart, and out of his infinite compassion for fallen souls, did the Guru show Gop Kumar his mercy. Puja vidham sikshayantum jayam ucharayam jape pramakule gato mohan rudham virahini vasa. He was about to explain the method of worshiping with the mantra, but as soon as he mentioned the object of meditation, he was overcome with pure love, became confused, and started crying like a madman separated from her lover. So, this Brahmin got the mantra and never got instructions. The same thing's going to happen to him. He gets instruction. The Gop Kumar is explaining his own story. He's getting instruction from his guru, this first-class Brahmin, and how to worship with the mantra. But as soon as he mentioned it, he was so sensitive. His heart was so soft in bhava so soft means you can be affected so, in one sense, by spiritual phenomena. He became confused and crying like a woman, separated from her lover. So obviously, this first-class Brahmin's on a high stage of praying. Purport. Gop Kumar's guru had the instructions for properly using the mantra just on the tip of his tongue. He was about to tell Gopa Kumar how to mark the body with the symbols of the mantra, how to meditate systematically on the meaning of the mantra, and all the other details for reciting the mantra in worship. But as soon as he started to describe the beautiful form of Srimad Madan Gopal, a sudden ecstasy caught hold of him, and crying like a lovesick woman remembering her distant husband, he lost his train of thought. Samgyam prapto ta kinchana prashtum shakto maya hiya uttaya vimanasko uttaya vimanasko gat kvāpi prapta punanasa. When he regained normal consciousness, he was afraid to ask him anything. He stood up and went away, distressed, and after that he was nowhere to be found. When he regained normal consciousness, I was afraid to ask him. He stood up and went away, distressed, and after that he was nowhere to be found. Purport. Having just received initiation, Gop Kumar felt deep reverence for his spiritual master. Without first being spoken to, he dared not say anything. He feared he might have done something offensive to upset his guru, and thought if he had said anything wrong, his guru might start crying again. Why didn't the saintly Brahmin give the missing instructions unasked? In his ecstatic mood, he was unhappy and distracted, so he went away saying nothing more. And because he had no fixed residence, he was nowhere to be found again. So Gop Kumar is just, he's got this mantra, but now he has to understand the mantra. And again, what to speak of executing it properly, this is some point that's come to me recently in the in this story, actually, that the objects have influence, but they can't influence you powerfully if your consciousness is covered. So without omagana timarandasya gyananjana shalakaya, without the guru cutting away the ignorance, the influence will not be felt so strong. But somehow or other, if someone is simple and innocent, he may not have so much false ego, he may not have see, he's feeling the mantra, but his understanding is not deep enough to get the full benefit. This is what I'm thinking. Mayatu kim idam labdham kim asya phalameva va mantra-katam sadhaniya iti gyatum nakinchana. I had no idea what this mantra was that I had received and what fruits its chanting would bear, or even how the mantra was practiced. So I didn't know what it was. I didn't know its fruits. I didn't know sadhaniya, how to practice and perfect the mantra. I didn't know it. Gop Kumar didn't even know the name of this 10-syllable mantra. Was the mantra meant to be sung out loud or chanted quietly, or it was a mantra at all? If it was powerful when chanted properly, what fruit would it bear? His guru had told him the mantra would fulfill all his desires, and that was vague. Until now, Gop Kumar had never thought seriously about his ultimate desires and goals. Tadvakya gora venaiva mantram tam kevalam mukhe kanapya lakshito jasram japeyam kotikadiva Simply out of respect for the Brahmin's words, I constantly murmured this mantra in secluded places, unseen by others. I chanted it just out of curiosity. Purport. Gop Kumar, aware of his ignorance of the true nature of the mantra, was embarrassed to chant it in public, but it certainly fascinated him. Tam maha purushasyaiva prabhava tadrishena cha japena chitta sudhir me tatta sadhapyajayata. By the influence of that great person, even such aimless chanting purified my mind, and I developed faith in the mantra. So maybe it wasn't aparad, but it wasn't shudanam, but maybe it was a little bit touching on, a little bit maybe namabhas. Namabhas is like the dawn. Shudanam is like the sun. At the dawn, there's some effect. No robbers and thieves that, you can see people there. Not, some heat, some light, but not much. Purport, without scientific knowledge of its practice and significance, the young sadhaka Gopkumar could hardly have solid faith in the mantra. He was not firmly convinced of its efficacy, nor was he affectionately attracted to it. Nonetheless, his naive chanting purified his mind of lust, envy, and greed. So it had some effect for sure. Tadvakyam chanu sandhyaya jagad ishvara sad tamantram manyamanoham tushyam japa parobhavam. Contemplating my guru's words, I understood the mantra to be the means for achieving the Lord of the universe. Thus I became satisfied and absorbed in chanting. Gopkumar's guru had told him, accept the Supreme Lord's mercy. Remembering this, Gopkumar concluded that the mantra was meant for obtaining the favor of the Supreme Lord. This was a satisfying reason to take enthusiastically the mantra. It's my guru. He said, accept the Supreme Lord's mercy. So this must be for achieving the Supreme Lord. Kidrasho jagad isho sao kadava drishyatam maya tareka lalaso hitva grihadim janavim agam. I became eager to know who this Lord of the universe was and when I might be able to see him. But this is my only aspiration. I abandoned my home and attachments and went to the bank of the Ganga. Purport. Wanting to identify the Lord of the universe, Gopkumar compared him to familiar people and things, but he could find no clue in the place where he had been brought up, so he left home to wander in search of the Lord. Durach chanka tvanim sutva tadpadam pulinam gata vipram viksha namam tatra shalagram shilachakam. Hearing the distant sound of the conch shell being blown, I followed that sound to its origin on a sandy bank of the river. There I saw a learned Brahmin worship Shalagram Shila and bowed down. Okay. Now what I'll do is I'll just read ahead, and I think this is a good format, but the people that are coming twice for these classes, I'm really going to focus on teaching you this story. Yeah. So we can and so I think that's a good thing, is that I'll cover some verses, then I'll read ahead. And then the next time I give class, I'll start from this verse 130. And to the others and yourself, I'll just summarize, what happened before. That way we can go through the text. I asked him, Master, what are you worshiping? Laughing, he replied, Dear boy, don't you know that this is the Lord of the universe? Hearing this, I felt unlimited happiness, like a poor man finding a welcome treasure, or a family man reuniting with a long-lost relative. Wouldn't you all like to go in your backyard and dig a garden and find a treasure chest with millions of dollars? I gazed for a long time at the Lord of the universe and with faith bowed down to him, my whole body flat on the ground like a rod. By the Brahmin's mercy, I received some water that had washed the Lord's feet and some remnants of offering to him. Then the Brahmin, preparing to return home, laid the Lord of the universe to rest in a box. Pained to see this, I tearfully complained in this way: My God, you are putting the Supreme Lord into a box, such an unfit place, and he hasn't even eaten. How will he sleep if he's hungry? O excellent Brahmin from Mathura, because of my material conditioning, I was unaware that the Lord of the universe is different from everyone and everything else. As I complained and suffered in my uncontrived lamentation, the Brahmin tried to console me. Full of humility, he shyly spoke. O new Vaishnav, Nava Vaishnav, he said, what more can this poor man do? I can offer to the Lord of the universe only the meals I prepare for myself. If you are eager to see the Lord's opulence and a great festival of his worship, please go to the capital city of this country's very saintly ruler. He is attached to the worship of Lord Vishnu in great love. You will find this city not far away, and there you can behold the Lord of the universe, who is difficult to see. So just see the genius of Sanatana Goswami, how he weaves this story. And now, as Narada went for progression of devotees, higher and higher, ultimately the Supreme Lord, now Gop Kumar will go on a progression of places. And just as the Mathura Brahmin who met Gop Kumar, got that Gopal mantra, and was not satisfied in other dharmic or religious places that were devoid of bhakti. There's this one very beautiful verse, Nishobhyatam, Niranjanam, so that it's not beautiful if it's devoid of devotion, even if it's religious. And people find that. If they don't find some taste, they don't like the rituals. So he points to a king. And remember, in this first thing, it was the Brahmin and the king. So here it's going in this progression. You feel great ecstasy, fulfilling all your heart's desire. But for now, please have lunch in my house from the remnants of what's been offered to Lord Vishnu. Delighted by the Brahmin's words, I offered him my obeisance. Without stopping at his house, even though hungry, I set off for the capital by the road. So then he goes to the kingdom. And he's so, you see, in bhakti, enthusiasm is so important. Krishna kirtana gananartanapano premamritambo nidhi. Kirtan, enthusiasm. Utkanta, Krishna kirtana. Kirtana, means stretching. And I gave the analogy of enthusiasm. The stretching, the is utsava. It's the eagerness, and the utkant. Sometimes it's called utkant, neck stretching, like the bird, stretching for the worm. We're stretching for, we want. We saw Narada in the first chapter. So this is really the fundamental principle of bhakti. We have to be eager. We have to be eager. Like Maharaj Prickett, he wanted to hear the Bhagavatam. He gave up eating and drinking. He was so eager. That became his, not you, we don't do things to take care of ourselves, but that was his priority. It was our priority. Okay, Jamuna, Jaya.
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you so much for class. the one of the lines you said early in class just really was just so beautiful that in Vrindavan the flowers aren't blooming, they're praising. No, what was it? Yes,
They're loving. They're
no,
loving.
they're loving. They're loving. Just right now everything is blooming on my street, and I'm like thinking, wow, all these things are just loving Krishna so much. It's so beautiful. And then the other thing I've really been reflecting on is the it's all a journey, and it's like the first one, it's a journey. It's the process, and it begins like with the nine devotional things with the shraddha, with the faith, the simple
Adao,
faith,
Shraddha,
and
Tata
then
Sadhu Sanga, Bhajaniko.
somehow it goes on.
Wow. Thank you, Jumanajaya. That's great.
It's so
Okay.
beautiful
Today
to
I
see
leave
it.
for
Yeah. Thank you,
Boca
Maharaj.
Raton. Stay with my good friend Lakshmi Nishringa. He usually has a great program in his house. I mean, 70 people or something. We had a great program here Monday night. 25 people. And it wasn't even everybody I know from here. So many people, even up here, are becoming devotees. And we had a wonderful program. Great kirtan. This Seth Lieberman, he's a great kirtanier. He came, and Patrick led kirtan. And so many people. I'm just seeing how many people up here, became devotees. It's great. Okay, Gail. I love.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Jamuna Jaya, she stole mine because that was my favorite line out of the class,
She's a thief.
Yeah, the flowers, they aren't blooming, they're loving. That was so beautiful,
Yeah, when Krishna comes into Vrindavan, all the flowers bloom, and he picks every single flower, and he
Yeah,
comes on every bit of dust.
yeah, and just the fact that, that line reminded me of the fact that everything about Vrindavan is not that it just so you make this point often that it's not just so happens that the environment is the way it is. The environment is the way it is because it's this expression of love for Krishna. It's like intentional
Right.
expression of love for Krishna.
And our environments are intentional expressions of love for ourselves.
Yeah. All right. All
Okay.
right. Well, Maharaj, I was just on a personal note, I was just a little curious. Was it Barry, the one who gave you the 2,500?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my guess was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. It was so nice of him. It was coming something from my mother, and he gave his share to me.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
It is. It is. Right.
Well, thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. He's a nice man. Okay. Anybody else say hello today?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hey,
Raj.
hello. Good to
Sure.
see both of you. Haribo.
Thanks so much.
I'm up here in Super Soul. Okay.
Wonderful.
Who told me, Shraddha, that, oh yeah, somebody they're doing a
Sage group.
right, and they were so excited that you joined their group. I forgot who it was, but it was
Fred Sunder and Lal Govinda.
oh yeah, okay. They said it's their first time. They were so excited that you'd be on it. They're great
Oh,
people.
that's so nice.
Okay, Haribo.
Hare
Haribo.
Krishna.
Anybody else say hello? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. This is Krishna-katha. Thank you greatly.
I love
Maharaj,
yes.
yes, Maharaj, and I have a question. And was it made on purpose by Sanatana Goswami? He described that Gopakumar didn't receive the explanation of the mantra.
He didn't
Was there
receive the
some reason?
explanation because his guru was in prema and fell into such ecstasy and such separation that he lost external view. That's why.
Yes, yes, but was it important to make such a plot for some deep reason, maybe even deeper reason?
There's no deeper reason. He was just in ecstasy and he forgot about everything externally. The deeper reason is that that can happen. That's the deeper reason. Okay, thank you. Anybody else say
Thank you.
hello?
Hare Krishna Garage, Srila Govinda.
And Bṛhad, thank you
Thank
for
you for
class.
class.
Here's the beautiful couple. Okay. Okay. Everybody can see. Haribo.
Well,
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Who's this? Oh,
Ishvari Sundri.
who?
Ishvari Sundri.
Ishri. Oh, when are we going to, you want to call me in 10 o'clock today?
At 10 o'clock today?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll text you. I have to check my meetings for the
Okay.
day.
If not
But
there, you can call me. I'll be in the airport at about 2 o'clock. You can also try. If not, tomorrow.
okay. No, I'm sure I could do one of those 2 times. I'll text
Okay,
you.
Haribo.
Haribo.
And save us. Haribo.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Maharaj,
Krishna.
how are you?
Thank you so much for class.
Let's talk soon that if I should reserve the room in Govardhan if you're coming.
Yes, it's a deal, Maharaj. We haven't bought our flight tickets, but we will be there.
Okay, I'm pretty much sure it may be for at least 2/3 of Kartik, if not the whole thing. We'll reserve the kitchen room. And
Wonderful.
it's
Thank
not my
you so
it's
much,
not my love for
Maharaj.
you. I'm very motivated.
Oh, thank you, Maharaj.
I'm very
Oh, whatever be
motivated.
so.
I expect to
I'm
be able
grateful.
to host some people. You know what I'm saying? Host
Yes.
like Shabbos, like that. Okay. Haribo.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Is Kelly Nikunj.
Will you be in Moscow and St. Petersburg when I come?
Yes, I'm waiting for you with devotees.
You'll
I
be
have-
where?
Huh?
You'll be in St. Petersburg. You live now?
Yes, I'm living in St. Petersburg, and I guess I can come to Moscow as well.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. It'd be nice to see you. Okay, thank you.
Can I ask it?
Yes.
You were talking about it is important to be a person in the relationship with Krishna, otherwise it is impersonalism. And I wonder how can we be a person if we are trying to accept will of Krishna everywhere? What does it mean to be a person?
It means reciprocate with Guru and Krishna. If they love you, you love them. That's reciprocation. That means we try to please. That's how we reciprocate. Krishna is giving us his mercy, and we try to please Krishna. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll see you in 2 months.
See you.
Okay. Anybody else say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Yvette. Thank you for class.
All pervading Yvette. That was a fun program on Monday.
It was wonderful, yes.
Yeah.
It was
What a
great.
crowd up here, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Haribo. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Shanakarishi.
Hey, it was nice to see you on Monday also.
Very nice, yes. It was a great program and great to see you again.
Okay. This is Shonika Rishi, formerly known as the vegan trucker. Now he's got a spiritual name. Okay, Haribo. Anybody else? Okay, we'll say goodbye for today. I'm looking at all the names, so I see all the people that are there and thanking them all deeply for coming. Okay, Vanchakalpa Turubhya.